Okay, so let's talk about the injuries that happen in the real world football. That affects deeply fantasy football because now you got to bench people, you got to redraft people, trade for people, whatever it is. Do you try to scout like the roster, like, hey, who's potentially going to have a big day that we've never heard of? I assume that, just like you said, with value, that's a big deal. What are you thinking in the fantasy streets right now for this upcoming week with the loss of a lot of superstars?
Yeah, it's always, look, we always say this very clearly, that fantasy success comes from two things. It comes from talent and opportunity. So, like, I do a show every Sunday called Fantasy Football Now on ESPN2. Get a plug in there. And so one of the things I do is I do a long shot, right? And so my long shot, you guys will appreciate this as indie guys. My long shot last week was Mo Alley Cox.
Great week.
Because I knew Mo Alley Cox is like, this guy, you guys have former basketball player. They like him a lot there with Jack Doyle banged up, no Trey Burton as well. I think Mo Alley Cox, especially when you think about where Rivers throws the ball, should have a nice game. So this is my long shot last week. Obviously 5 for over 100 last week.
Is that good?
I don't know.
Is that good?
Called that one.
Yeah. So what you do is, so it's talent plus opportunity. So who's going to get an opportunity this week? Like, there's a guy named Mike Davis, right, who was a very popular waiver wire pickup this week. Chris McCaffrey's out for at least 3 weeks. He was just placed on IR earlier today. Mike Davis is a very good pass-catching running back. I believe he had 8 receptions last week. Like, whether it's been in Seattle or Chicago, when he's gotten an opportunity, he has produced. He's caught a lot of passes. And then you think about Teddy Bridgewater, who, since he came into the NFL, of the 39 quarterbacks that are qualified since Bridgewater came to the NFL, he's 37th in average depth of target. That's a nerdy stat that basically says he throws short. He does what you look when you watch him and you go like, okay, that's a dink and dunker, right? So that's just a number that tells you that. And so what's he going to do? He's going to throw to his running back, obviously. And so that's a team that's going to be down a lot. They don't have a particularly good defense. They're going to be throwing. They're throwing to the running back, obviously, because McCaffrey is out. So Mike Davis is somebody that I think is going to be, wasn't on people's radars 7 days ago, and it's going to be a top 20 fantasy running back this weekend.
Wow, call your shot.
Matthew, what do you tell people that jumped out early and drafted a guy like Gronk? He hasn't got going yet early. Do you look ahead to the future of their schedule and say, okay, these are some matchups where I think we could get him going. This is where you should start Gronk?
No, I mean, we actually recommended I do a podcast with Field Yates every single day on ESPN. We talked about this, that we feel like you should, unfortunately, drop Rob Gronkowski. Like, no one loves Gronk more.
You said cut him. You guys hate him more than Bruce Arians. Give the guy a chance, man.
No, here's what it is. The concern is, we talk about talent and opportunity. Look, we know the talent of Gronk. Pat, I think you and I actually met, for the first time I think you and I actually met at an event with Gronk at the stadium many years ago.
Yeah.
But so I love Gronk. But the guy has 2 targets through 2 games. I mean, look, we expect that Tampa Bay passing offense to be better. They'll get Godwin back this week, but he's not even at the moment the best tight end on his team. O.J. Howard's been more productive here. And so, you know, we know the talent, but he's just not getting the opportunity, and you don't want to be too slow to react. You want to say, like, hey, he's a big name, and I'm going to wait it out, when there are younger players that have produced, guys like Jonnu Smith, guys like Logan Thomas in Washington. Mike Gesicki is available in over 50% of ESPN leagues in Miami, and he's going to be a big target monster as well. So, unfortunately, I'm a believer in the Tampa Bay offense. I believe it gets better. I'm not sure Gronk is going to be a massive part of that.